The sun is shining. It's a fresh day. It's a fresh start. It's a fresh season. We're into year 2 on our map here, and it is the first day of spring. Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome back to Seasons in the Valley. Now, there are a couple of little changes that you may notice. Obviously, we've had the update, so we've kind of already detailed that, but it's the first day of spring, and look, we have foliage. It's not like last year where we had nothing at all. This is because we switched geos. So we're running the North Central Italy geo, which we activated I think on day 5 or possibly day 6 of winter, one of those 2 days. I think it was day 5. And we're not starting with dead trees. We're actually starting with trees that have some life and some colour. Same with our bushes as well. There's a lot more life on the map than there was at this point last year. However, there's also still a lot of snow everywhere, and this is going to cause some real headaches for us. We take a look at our map. You can see we have quite a few fields that kind of need to be ploughed, and we can't really do anything, I don't think, while the snow is on the ground like this. The temperature is still -1 degrees in terms of ground temperature, so on paper, the ground is still frozen now. Hopefully we should still be able to work it, but we might have to clear all the snow away first. That's going to be no small feat in itself. But let's take a look at what does actually need to be done. So we have, first off, field 50 here. This definitely needs to be ploughed. We're going to put some crop on this, and 55 maybe needs to be ploughed. We're planning on putting poplar on that field there, so might not need to actually do anything with that. Then we've got fields 53 and 54. Now these, we bought these to be grass meadows, so we don't need to actually plough these fields out. We can just plant the grass, and then when it's grown and we mow it, that will clear the plough state, so we don't actually technically have to plough these 2 fields. That's kind of good. And then we've got these fields up here, 37, 38, 35 and 36. Now 35 and 36 we're going to be joining into a field, and then 37 and 38 we're going to be joining to make a second field. And they do definitely need to be ploughed. A, because we need to plant crop in them, and B, they need to be joined together, so we're going to have to plough anyway. And I don't know if we're going to be able to or not, which is, again, a bit of a problem. And the other problem is, obviously we changed our geo. It's changed the planting seasons, the planting schedules a little bit. So you can see, instead of having 6 days to plant wheat, barley and canola, and then 6 days for sunflowers, you know, going into summer, we now only have 4 days for those crops. And soybean and corn can now be planted on day 3 of the spring, as opposed to day 5 like it was last year. As such, our harvest windows have moved slightly as well. So we need to be really careful, because if we end up losing a day or even 2 days because of this snow, it means that we're going to be sort of getting right towards the end of those harvest windows before we can actually start harvesting our crop, and that is potentially a very, very bad thing indeed, because we could end up running the risk of our crop withering and dying if we can't get it harvested in time. There could be some very, very late days in the summer if that's the case, trying to make sure that we get everything in. So what can we do while we're kind of waiting for the ground to warm up a bit and the snow to start melting? Well, we can sell our eggs. We completely forgot to sell the eggs. I've already collected them this morning, and we completely forgot to sell those over winter, so we're going to sell those this morning. And if we take a look in my backpack, you'll see we have 558 eggs. That's an awful lot, but it's still only going to translate to maybe 6 grand if we're lucky. Not a lot of cash at all. And what else can we do as well? Well, we can also do some maintenance on our vehicles. Now, obviously, we covered the tractors and everything that was here at the farm during winter, but we never went out to the sawmill and did maintenance down there. So we have got a skid steer and we have got a wheel loader down there that haven't been maintained yet. So we can take our toolbox, now that the workshop has been sort of fixed with the update, and now allows us to customize for free. We can take our sort of toolbox here, our mod toolbox, down to the sawmill, and we can do some repair work and then leave that toolbox down there for any future kind of changes that we need to make. This will be especially useful as well for swapping over the Rabo Xylor from wheel loader to skid steer configuration, so we can switch it between those 2 vehicles. But we need a way to transport that down there, and so I I made a purchase last night. Having cleared away those trees, I just ground them out with the robot. I didn't chop them up or wood chip them. Just gone, chewed them out completely with the robot. So I decided after that to buy us a vehicle so that we could actually move around the map instead of putting hours on the tractors just to go and check on the state of a field or a crop, or if we want to move down to the sawmill for something. To save us having to keep going back and forth and putting unnecessary hours on our vehicles, I bought us a truck of kinds. I bought us a van, so we have something to drive around in, and we can use this to go and transport our toolbox down to the sawmill. We can also use this to transport our eggs to the sell point as well. So let's just jump into this. So to set the cruise control to something a little bit more manageable than 76 miles an hour. Let's set it at 20. So we're slightly faster than the traffic. There we go. So I'm going to pull this into here. Now you may notice that we have some boxes piled up here. Now these are our eggs. Now obviously we have 558 eggs. That's a lot of eggs. So each of these boxes represents 100 eggs and then a part box to represent the other 58. So I'm going to load these in as carefully as I can. I don't want to smash the eggs up. Although having said that, I am probably going to end up smashing the eggs up a bit, despite all my best efforts. Try and be as careful as we can with this. He says, having just dropped one on the floor. Oh, there we go. We already clipped the van, sent the box of eggs spinning out of control wildly. That's not going to do our order any good. Oh, it's really hard to kind of crouch and walk in here. Once I get in, I can actually then kind of move around in here a little bit better. That's the first 3 boxes. Let's try and get the rest in again as carefully as we can. And these, unfortunately, we can't strap these down, which is a bit of a shame. That would have been nice if we could strap them down, but we'll just have to try and drive as carefully as we can and not smash the truck around the corners, send the boxes flying all over the place. And now the last box here. And there we go. We have our 6 boxes of eggs. 558 eggs in total. Now let's load the toolbox in there. There we go. And again, we can't strap that down either. I don't know why the TV is still switched on. There we go. Let's close the doors up. And let's carefully make our way over to the garden centre in the middle of Villeneuve so that we can go and sell these off. It's a little bit bumpy under wheels thanks to this snow. Try not to hit the chickens on the way out. And what I did last night as well was also, I was worried about the potential for there still being a lot of snow on the roads today. So I went around with a snowblower and I cleared off most of the roads. Not all of them, but most of them, and in both directions as well. So the roads are mainly, all the roads that we're going to be kind of using over the next couple of days are all nice and clear. It's just the ones on the kind of the far sort of circuits that haven't necessarily been cleared away, sort of going up towards Agro Life. I think that sort of top loop around there, which heads out towards the BGA, that needs to be cleared. Just nip out in front of this guy. There we go. So I'm going to make my way over to the garden centre, to a lager house, and I will be back in just a second. Alright, so there is the garden centre right in front of us. So hopefully these eggs haven't been bounced all over the place. Right, I need to remember what's the way to open the side door. There we go. Well, they have kind of slid about a little bit, as you can see. Let's get these sort of unloaded. Just plonk them down just here. It's a shame we don't actually have sort of pallets of eggs that we can actually carry and transport. You can see there, obviously, there's an actual sort of box there with eggs on that forklift. It'd be great if we actually had something like that we could travel, transport. I mean, I feel the chickens are just kind of such a waste of time in farming Sim 17. In 15 you could have obscene numbers of chickens and they just made you a nice amount of cash, and in this, you can't do anything to them at all. They don't need feed, you can't change their numbers. You get a set number of eggs per day, and the value of, the money you make off eggs is so negligible that it's kind of, it's almost, what's the point? I mean, we're doing it once a year on a 6-day season, so this is 24 days worth of eggs, give or take. And there we go, we made 5,725 euros. It was not really worth it, was it? For all those eggs. An entire year's worth of supply. And we got less than 6 grand. Yeah, it's just, chickens are so useless and pointless this time out. It's just such a shame. I hope they really do something to shake that mechanic up. Maybe do mass production of eggs. As I say, as a crateable commodity like beets and potatoes. You can sell pallets of or boxes of eggs. That would be good. Right, Sawmill next. Let's go drop off the toolbox, do some maintenance on our 2 vehicles down there, the wheel loader and the skid steer. I forgot how much this thing just suddenly stops the second you take your finger off the accelerator. It's been a while since I've used it. Yeah, we'll do some maintenance on our vehicles, then we'll head back to the farm. We'll pick up a plough and we'll head out to one of our fields and we'll try ploughing the snow, I suppose, to clear it so that we can then actually get to the field underneath and see if we can do some ploughing that way. Hopefully we can, but if not, we're just going to have to wait for the snow to kind of melt and dissipate. I mean, it is going to rain at some point later today, so I'm hoping that the combination of sun to kind of warm up the ground and melt the snow a little bit is going to help, and then the rain will definitely help, I think, melt the snow. But we do really need that gone now as quickly as possible. So let's make our way around the side here. Let's get the speed up a little bit. There we go, you can see snow underneath there. The snow mask does not apply over here, which is a bit of a shame. So I suppose we can't have everything. Right, let's repair. And it's only going to cost us 27 euros. That's nice and cheap. I wonder actually, because that technically is something that we can get in and drive. I wonder if I have to repair the wood chipper. That's had a lot of use this year, so I might have to repair that as well. Guess we'll find out in a second. Let's do our wheel loader next. Oh no, that's still on the skid steer. There we go. 37 euros for the wheel loader. That's not too bad. And let's see, do I need to customize or repair this? Oh no, that's my my weight just there. Change the position of the toolbox. Now that's picking up that. Whoops, that's going to pick up the tools. This is getting messy. That's something else they need to do as well, is they need to improve your grab physics, because it's so easy to just get knocked or bumped by something and whatever you're carrying just goes absolutely flying. That needs to be improved in Farming Sim 19 as well. Come on. Come on. Oh, this is ridiculous. I might have to move the wheel loader in a second. Yeah, let's move the wheel loader. This is getting ridiculous. You should pick up the bucket now instead of the wood chipper. There we go. Oh, we do need to repair this as well. I thought we might need to, because yeah, we can get in and kind of drive this around, so it makes sense. So this makes me think that we'd have to do this with any conveyor belts that we own as well. Obviously we don't own any at the moment, but if we do in the future, maybe because you can get in and actually drive those around, maybe you'll need to do maintenance on those as well. If you have conveyor belts, make sure to check, because you never know. Oh, and as you see, we used this quite a bit, 103 euros to get this repaired. There we go. So, maintenance down here is done. Where am I going to leave this that isn't just going to disappear under a pile of snow? Well, just here, I suppose. It's better than nothing. Let's see if I can actually get it to stand up properly. Oh, I've just tipped it up the other way instead. Hasn't really helped, has it? There we go. We'll leave it just there, and hopefully that'll be okay. Let's put this back in the shed. There we go. And now we'll head back to the farm. We'll grab a plough. We'll head over to one of our fields. Which one should we go to? Let's see. Which is going to be quick and easy to get to with a plough. I think 55 is probably going to be the best bet. Yeah, let's try and get to 55, because I want to put poplar in the ground as soon as possible, because that's going to take quite a long time to grow. So if I can get that planted today, then hopefully that'll be ready to sort of harvest in winter, when it's the best time for for wood chips. I keep calling them sawdust. It's for wood chips. So yeah, I'll see you back at the farm in just a second. So we're back here at the farm. We'll get our truck. Well, I say a truck. It's a van, isn't it? We'll get our van put away back in the shed. We will use this on occasion throughout the year. It's a bit of an expensive purchase for something that we're not going to use that often. Really, I mean, 68 grand plus another, I think, 500 for the paint job, something like that. So it's not the cheapest of purchases, but we did really need something other than the tractors. So I don't begrudge, having to make the purchase, and I didn't want to just go with a standard pickup truck that we always end up tending to use. So I wanted to try something a little bit different on this one, hence the Transit. So there we go. That's locked away. Let's see. I was going to use the T7 to do some ploughing, but I was going to switch the wheel configuration over to standard wheels as well, but given that we still have the snow, I think we'll stick with our snow track setup. Let's grab a weight. Let's go with the big one. I'm going to need to refuel this as well. Almost out of fuel, as you can see, just 91 litres left. I kind of drained the tank a little bit yesterday, kind of using this to go and plough all the roads off. So there we go. That's the refueling going in. And once this is done, I'll go grab the plough and then make my way over to field 55, just by the pig farm. Oh no! I just saw the soil is frozen. You can't work it. I was worried that the fact that it's -1 degrees might cause a problem. Oh, that's completely screwed us over. So the plan was to try and at least plough the snow off and get to the field below, I don't think I can even do that. I don't think it's going to let me. I think the ground is just going to be too cold. It's, as I say, ground temperature -1 degree, so the ground technically is frozen solid still. This is a huge blow. We're going to lose an entire day that we can't do any sort of crown work. Oh, Christ, what am I going to do today instead then? I mean, it's 10:30 already. It's still -1 ground temperature. Rain is coming later in the day. You can see the symbol has changed now, so it's now just straight rain. But yeah, this is our field. Look here. Can't even see where the field is, but it's telling me, look, the ground is frozen, you cannot work it. And if I try and drop this and see what happens. Now there you go, look, you see, we are struggling to do anything at all. Now I know it is possible to cheat the system and use the Rabot Xylor and just drive along at, you know, whatever speed that thing moves at while it's operating and plough that way, but that is a major cheat. It completely disregards the mechanics of seasons, and I'm not prepared to do that. I'm not willing to do that. So that's kind of, that's a horrible way for us to start the year, where we've literally just lost a day of a very small planting and planting window. It's kind of a disaster. I guess we may as well do some log work. You know, cut down some trees and maybe make a little bit of cash that way from selling some lumber, or start stocking up on some wood chips. Well, we're not going to need to stock up on wood chips, I suppose. Once the poplars come good, we'll have all the wood chips we'll ever need, but we need to do something. We can't just waste an entire day just twiddling our thumbs doing nothing. So this is not good. This is not good at all. I'm going to have a think where we want to start cutting down some trees. Where's going to make sense? Getting in there in the forest area that we worked on in the summer isn't really going to work, because we can't really... That's a lot of mess over there. If we're going to do any kind of tree work, I would say we would need to cut down trees that are going to be in the way. I tell you what we can do. We can take the wheel loader and the Rabot over to the top of the map, 35, 36, 37, 38. There's going to be at least 1 or 2 trees in the way over there. I'm sure of it. So we'll take the wheel loader over there with the Rabot. We'll grind away those trees, and at least we can get those out of the way, so that when we can start working the land, we can get straight on it and not have to worry about trees being in the way of us. But this is a huge blow to us, to lose a whole day like this, where we can't do any ploughing, we can't do any sowing. This is not good at all. Beacons off. Right, let's get the truck back out. I get the van back out then, and make our way back down to the sawmill in the van. Again, we'll save running around with a tractor. We'll take this with us and use this instead. So you can see the snow is quite heavy in places over here, but it's also a little bit thin in a couple of places as well. Just make our way over that ridge there where we've blown snow across. You can see bits of grass poking through, so it looks like in some places it's down to its final layer. In other places it's still a little bit denser than that, but we are leaving tracks, as you can see, which get down to the kind of the grass underneath us. Wish I could actually see exactly where the fields are. We do have a few trees kind of dotted around here, as you can see. They're at these edges, and I don't know if these are actually going to be in the way. I think that one might be alright. We might not need to actually touch that tree there. Let's move a little bit further along and see. We've got a tree or two here. that could well be in the way perhaps, or are these lining the side of field 35? Looks like these are the trees that go between the fields. There's a pathway that's supposed to be here. I think we might be alright actually for trees over here that aren't going to need to be cut down. I thought we might have an issue, but it looks as though we're kind of going to get away with it. Although this tree here on this corner is a little bit iffy. I'm not confident enough about this tree, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Seeing as we've come all this way, we may as well get rid of at least a tree. So let's find the cut position. Tiny temperamental thing. See, we're losing. It's taking out bits of the tree, but not the bits that I'm trying to take out. That's weird. I've not seen it do that before. It's so weird. I've never seen it do this before. Let's try attacking it from the other side. We're just stripping away sections of the tree trunk, look. Ah, there we go. That's what I was hoping was going to happen. So now I can start grinding down. Last bit. Oh no, still one last little piece just here. And there we go. Oh, still more? There we go. Alright, now that tree has finally been removed. Obviously that last little bit of stump hiding in the snow there. But I think that's the only tree we're going to need to get rid of. I mean, you can see there that little sign there, that is the purchase box for field 39, and there's just no trees along here that we need to worry about. So we're actually on the edge of the fields again just here. Yeah, I think we're good. I think that was it. Yeah, all that way, and it was just that one tree that we needed to get rid of. Well, okay, well that kind of I had all these plans of we're going to need to do this and that, and it doesn't look like we're going to need to do much of anything at all. So, yeah, we're going to need to do something this afternoon to pass the time, and so it's not a completely wasted day. So let's just park up for a second. Let's jump out so we're not putting hours on the tractor while we're sat here. I don't know. I mean, I suppose we could look at maybe cutting a few more trees out down here. Obviously the plan, you can see, was to kind of smooth this section out by cutting across here a bit, and then maybe even curving around that corner, so that when we do link these fields together we get a nice smoother transition. We can't go all the way across because it's just too the terrain's just not good here. It's really too steep in places, but we can certainly, you know, shallow this curve out a little bit maybe, and stretch the line out along here, and maybe even sort of on a diagonal just here as well. There's definitely something we can do in this area. Obviously we've cut down a few trees already, but again with the snow it's kind of hard to tell exactly where we're going to be. What we also could do is we could attack this area. Now this gives us so much sort of lag around here, you know, that's so tightly packed with trees. We could maybe go in and get rid of some of those perhaps. Sometimes again along here we get some lag along here as well. It's all those trees so sort of densely tightly packed in there. We could look at maybe attacking that area just to improve our frame rates a bit every time we drive past there with some kind of seasonal lighting. It's not good. So I guess that's going to be, you know, what we're going to be working on this afternoon. It's not an ideal situation, this. As I say, I was really looking forward to getting in there and doing some ploughing today and getting some, you know, early stuff planted as well, like our grass, and maybe even getting our poplar into the ground today. And we can't do either because the ground is still, it's now what, just coming up to midday. The ground is still frozen solid. So yeah, we are really kind of losing an entire day here, which is not good at all. So we're down here on the corner of field 64 there on the other side of the road. That's our field there, sort of 92 and 63 that we ploughed together. That was our canola field last year. And these trees have given us a lot of lag and performance issues when we've driven past them, because I mean, just look how many there are, so closely and densely packed together. It really does cause a few issues. So brought the T6 over with our front loader arms just here. Obviously we've got the log claw, got the heaviest weight on the back for some counterbalance support, and I've also brought the T8 over with this leased timber runner and dolly. Now this lease setup is actually really cheap. You know, the combined total I think was about £2,000 to lease these pieces of equipment. Not very expensive at all. So a single tree is more than going to pay for, you know, the lease costs of that equipment. So let's start chopping down some trees, cleaning them off, and then loading them into the back of the timber runner. This is not how I'd envisioned starting our farm this year. I'd planned for us to obviously do a fair bit of work today. Start of year 2, we were supposed to get straight into ploughing and seeding, you know, having done all of our some of our prep work on the last day of autumn last year to make sure that we were ready to start off on a flying start. These extra cold temperatures with the ground still frozen really has thrown a massive spanner in the works. So we're kind of just making the best of a bad situation, giving us something to do. We're going to clear some of these trees down just so that we can actually stay active and do something. It's going to give us a little bit of extra cash, which is always a bonus, and more importantly, it's also going to help reduce some of that frame juddering that we get whenever we drive down this corner of the map. You know, you can see already, look, I'm getting a few frame rate issues in places in this corner. So if we can help to alleviate that by reducing the number of trees, we're not going to cut down all of them, but if we can cut down enough to at least thin the area out a little bit and get everything running a little bit more smoothly. I mean, when you've got all these trees, look how close these things are. It's no wonder we've been getting some juddering in this corner, you know, when we start getting some of the seasonal effects coming in and those you know, improved lighting angles. It's no wonder that we've kind of struggled a little bit from time to time with poor performance. And this will help to alleviate that. Those shadows in particular, I think, are part of the reason that causes so much sort of lag. And some of these are just the trees as well. You can see on that particular tree there, as we moved along it, we got really bad slowdown. And again at the base of that tree as well, we had the same issues, and then at the top of the tree as well. It's just not running as smooth as it could or should. So I'm going to carry on cutting a few more of these trees down. We'll then sort of segment them up a bit. We'll load them into the timber runner, take them over, and we'll just sell them. We're not going to store these, we'll just sell these, try and make a bit of extra cash. I am going to leave a few trees, so this one here on this edge, this one's going to stay. I'm going to try and space them out, and I'm going to try and just thin out just some of these trees in this sort of central area a little bit as best I can, and then we can come and grind out the stumps at a later point in the year. Once the snow's melted and we can actually see the ground properly. So I'm going to carry on working for a bit, and I'll see you in a little while. I thought I just caught a whiff of cloud sneaking in, and I've just noticed that the weather symbol has changed. As you can see, the sun has now appeared next to the rain cloud, which suggests to me that that rain is now about to start falling. Oh, that claw is really glitching at the moment. I have to drop this log and try again. Some of the logs have been a little bit more awkward than others, but we've been making pretty kind of decent, albeit slow, progress loading this trailer here, getting all these logs measured and cut. I'm not seeing any definitive cloud rolling in just yet, but as I say, we do now have that change to the weather symbol, which suggests that that rain is about to start dropping. Got little bits of wood left dotted around, as you can see. They're sort of burying themselves in the snow because they're quite thin and the snow is a little bit thick in those areas. Really hope this rain is going to start to help melt the snow, although given the fact that it's -1, there's every possibility that all we could end up doing is actually reinforcing the amount of snow on the ground. That would be a disaster. If we lose tomorrow as well, and you can see there's a low temperature of -1 predicted tomorrow. Yeah, if we end up with really, really low temperatures again tomorrow and the ground is still frozen, that is a huge disaster for us, because we're going to lose, half of our planting window for, some of our, important crops. We need more straw because we want to bring in cows this year, and what we do have probably isn't going to be enough. We definitely need more hay, and we need to make silage. And the longer it takes to get those fields planted for grass and turn them into meadows, the worse shape we're going to be in, later in the year, because the less product we're going to have to work with. So we desperately, desperately need to get on with normal business tomorrow. Yeah, it still looks pretty clear, doesn't it? I'm not seeing any definitive clouds rolling in yet. I'm getting concerned. There we go, it's another log cut up, one tree left to work with. Let's quickly measure this one out. I think for the next ones, what I'm going to try and do before I start measuring like this is I'm actually going to move the trees around a little bit. There's a little bit of there we go. I'm actually going to move and stack the trees next to each other so that I can actually cut them all at the same time next time. for the second batch, for the second half of the trailer. This one's starting to glitch in the fork. Squeeze my way out of that gap. There we go. Actually, those have lined up quite nicely, look. There we go. How much is left on this piece here? Not a huge bit. Let's move that out of the way so I don't end up spinning my wheels on that. The snow has made it a little bit trickier to work around. Obviously, as I say, some of these logs have ended up burying themselves a little bit. It's also meant traction has not been as good as it could or should be as well. I've slipped and slided. I'll just turn the engine off. I've slipped and slided around a little bit on the well, slid around, I suppose, would be the right choice of word there. Oh no, I've got my claw wedged. There we go. Yeah, it's been a little bit tricky underfoot in terms of steering and traction. Kind of made the best of a bad situation today here. You know what? This is not working as well as I thought it would do. Come on, there we go. I think that might be light enough for me to actually move my hand. Nope, it's not. Damn it. It's going to cause us issues with the next stack. Still no cloud look. I'm wondering if it is actually going to rain at all now. It should have happened by now. Where is it? This is definitely not good, and these logs are now starting to stack at an awkward angle. I don't know if I can reach in far enough to push these. I might have to get the telehandler at this rate. I really hope that's not the case. I'll have to, you know, keep ferrying more and more equipment around just to, you know, just for a little bit of busy work, essentially. See if I can get in from this angle. Moved it a little bit further inward. It's better than it was. It's still not great. Yeah, I'm going to carry on just loading logs, cutting trees, and when I get a full trailer we'll take those down, we'll sell those at the sawmill, so at least we'll have accomplished something, both, you know, in terms of what we've done and with, you know, financial sort of rewards as well. But really am kind of disappointed and frustrated that I couldn't get onto the fields today, and desperately hoping that tomorrow is going to be a better day. Alright, so time to make our way over to the sawmill with our first batch of wood. Deliberately cut these a little bit shorter because I think we might make more on the logs at this kind of length than others. I'm going to take a slightly meandering route because it's just, I think it's going to be quicker to go around and then come back up through the centre of the map than it is to go all the way around the top through the villages and then come back down again. You can see that there are patches where the snow does appear to be thinning out. You can see the grass starting to poke through the snow, so it looks as though the snow is slowly starting to melt away, but whether that's going to be enough to actually thaw out overnight, or thaw the fields out overnight or not, remains to be seen. But yeah, this is an encouraging sign. Still no sign of that rain either, so I'm just keeping my fingers crossed now that we are going to start to see the snow gradually disappear and thin out over the rest of the day. And I will see you at the sawmill. Again, here as we're at the sawmill, we can actually see, look, the remains of those bits of poplar that start on the map. There is definite indication that the snow is starting to melt out a bit. Now, can I sell these just by driving over? Yeah, I can with some of these bits. Not all of them, it seems. There we go. Fantastic. So we've actually made quite a bit of cash. Look, we're up to 31,500. I'm going to go back. I'm going to work on another stack, and this is going to be it for the rest of the day now. I think, you know, it's still way too cold. It's still -1 degrees ground temperature. So yeah, we're just going to carry on clearing out that corner of trees and make a bit of cash and reduce some of the frame rate issues that we have when we're at that part of the map, I think. Yeah, look, there you go. You can see that crop sticking up. Grass is definitely starting to poke through. Oh, just noticed, look, the lights are on and it is starting to get a bit cloudier. The rain has finally decided to arrive. So, yeah, maybe now we're going to actually start to see some of this snow melt off. Really keeping my fingers crossed on this. It's definitely getting darker and cloudier. Look, yeah, everything's getting a little bit more washed out in terms of colour. And just like that, the rain is over. It did not last long at all. Maybe an hour at absolute most. That's well, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. As I say, with the temperatures so low there is the risk that some of this snow could potentially freeze back over again. It's starting to get late now, the sun is starting to set, and I'm probably going to work through till around about 8-9 o'clock this evening and do one more load of trees, and then I'll probably call it a night. Try and get a really early start tomorrow if the ground is warm enough. Otherwise we're going to be back here again, I think, doing more logging. Really hope that's not the case. I mean, I don't mind doing little bits of logging here and there, but it's not going to help us with our crop situation for next year at all. We desperately need to be able to crack on with field work tomorrow. See if I can get this tree out. You can see I'm trying to remove sort of a batch in the middle and just clear that that sort of line of trees that ran all the way through the middle. I want to keep some of the trees on the edge of the road, and I want to keep some trees behind the road that I've been working on. So I'm just trying to thin the area out a bit. I want to keep you keep the tree look and the tree line, but I just want to try and eliminate some of that really bad judder and frame rate issues that we were having in this area. And this, to me, seems to be the best way to do it, to go in and try and selectively remove certain trees. Now I could have just done that really quick and easily using the robot, but I'd much rather we made a little bit of cash out of it. Just catching on that stump over there, on that branch, sorry, that trunk. There we go, now I'm free. This is a huge tree. Oops, even the you can see the weight. Just, this is the heaviest weight we have, 2,500 kilos on the back. Sorry, 2,000 kilos on the back. We didn't buy the 2,500, did we? No. But it's still not quite enough for a tree this size. I mean, you can see the difference when we get it down on the ground compared to the two that are already stacked up here. It's absolutely massive in size compared to the other ones. There we go. So you can see we've got about half a trailer already of really long, good sized pieces of wood there. This is my guide piece for cutting. So I'm going to cut these trees that we've just plonked down, get those loaded on the back. That's probably going to be enough to fill the trailer up. I'll then go and sell those, and then actually I might call it a day there by the time I've got those done, loaded, and then those sort of leftover pieces there as well. That is probably going to be all the time I'm going to have for today. So let's get these logs cut. There we go. Yeah, there we go. You can see the sun setting very quickly now indeed. So yeah, I'm going to carry on doing this. We'll sell this load of trees. I am going to call it a night after we've done these ones that are left here on this field. We won't cut any more down today. And then, just as I say, fingers crossed, tomorrow the ground will be a little bit warmer and we'll actually be able to start ploughing it and getting some stuff, seeded into the ground. Because even if it's only 1 degree or even 0 degrees, hopefully at 0 we'll still be able to work the land. But at 1 degree we should definitely be able to work the land. Even if we can get stuff in the ground and planted tomorrow, it's still at 1 degree going to be very, very cold indeed, which means although it's going to be planted, it's not going to start growing We are, as I say, in absolute desperate need of things to really start warming up, and quickly. So tomorrow is going to be absolutely crucial. This North Central Italy Geo is proving to be a little bit more of a challenge than I thought it might be. Maybe that's not a bad thing. So I'm going to call it a day here. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with another episode of Seasons in the Valley very soon.